I'm first going to look at you in the impact position because it's the most important. Everything the ball does, how far it goes, how high it goes, how much it spins and curves, is a direct response to the laws of physics and motion at the brief moment of impact. On the left is Tiger hitting an iron. This is video I took at last year's US Open. On the right is Grant Wade hitting the driver. Grant was a PGA Tour player during the 90s and now is one of the top instructors of tour players. Grant's teaching partner is a good friend of mine, Joe Mayo, who lives in Las Vegas. Grant was considered by many as having one of the best and most fundamentally sound golf swings. At impact, they both have the majority of their weight on the left side. In fact, the average pro will have 85 to 90% of their weight on the left side at impact. I've drawn a red box from the center of their ankles to the top of their head, and you can see that the red line off their left foot is passing right through their belt buckle, showing how the center of their mass is right on top of their left foot. They both have extended arms through impact. Their elbows are close together and not separating. Having extended arms and weight forward allows them to control the low point of their arc of their swing. When hitting the iron, this fundamental allows the placement of the low point to be in front of the ball, so that they hit the ball first and then the ground, producing the maximum compression of the golf ball. These fundamentals also allows for the highest level of consistency in controlling the face angle and club path during impact, so that you in turn have the highest level of consistency in hitting whatever optimal ball flight you want. So you've got a new arm position and you're choking down. Those are the only two changes I've made. It's all pre-swing stuff. I'm not telling you how to swing. You swing in the same old way.
Yeah. And this is what? All hybrid?
Every club in your bag.
Every club.
That's your new position for a full swing.
Joe, on the left is your swing during the first round of our full swing session when I was just recording swings. On the right is Grant Wade. I would be looking at your swing with an iron. I have paused the swing at the moment of impact. The purpose of swing analysis is not to change the look of the swing just to make it fit some ideal swing model. The sole purpose is to change the negative ball flight that is impacting your score. Once a ball flight error begins to occur too frequently, then you must identify the part of the player's swing causing the club to be delivered to the ball in the wrong position. Swing fundamentals are not abstract ideas, but are key positions that have a certain look. If the look isn't there, then the fundamental isn't there. Now, no player can work on too many things at once, so it's important to work on a player's missing fundamentals a few at a time and in the proper sequence. First, let's look at your weight distribution during impact. I've drawn a box from the ankles to the top of the head. You can see that Grant has a huge majority of his weight on his left side, and you have more weight on your right side than your left. One of the keys to hitting solid shots is to have the low point of the swing in front of the ball so you can hit the ball before you hit the ground. Watch this clip to see the pro divot.
Okay, so if you hit this ball, okay, where would the divot be?
Divot's going to be in front of the line.
Okay. And if you stood here all day and hit balls, how many times would the divot be behind that line?
0.
0, right. There's Mike hitting 17 shots with 17 divots in front of the line.
Another important characteristic I look for at impact is the extension of the arms. And your elbows are slightly bent at impact, which will cause some issues with consistency at getting the depth of the arc of your swing in the same location every time. As those elbows slightly bend a few degrees, it lifts the club up a few degrees. And that causes inconsistency of hitting the ball in on the sweet spot. The arms really become the part of the radius of the golf circle, and if that radius is changing its length through the elbows, then the size of your golf circle is changing. It's shrinking and collapsing and expanding during your swing, and you want to have a constant radius so that you can consistently deliver the club head at the same depth every swing. The other thing that you want to achieve, and you can see how Grant's hands are in front of the ball at impact,
That also helps keep the low point in front of the ball, along with the weight being on the left side. We want our hands on the left side. And you are achieving that. I am seeing your hands in front of the ball at impact. So you have shaft lean. So your shaft is leaning toward the target at impact. So that is a positive and very good. Now let's take a look at some of your positions prior to impact that contribute to arriving at impact in the wrong position. As we compare your setup at the beginning of the swing to Grant, you have started with more weight on your right foot than your left, where Grant has slightly more weight on his left side than his right. Grant begins almost with a little mini impact position. Starting with more weight on your right obviously makes it more difficult to arrive with the majority of your weight on your left side at impact. This is a down the line view of your setup, and the thing that I saw, and we corrected it even before we went on the golf course, is that you jammed your hands and elbows too tight into your sides, and your triceps aren't really sitting more on top of your chest. Grant's arms are a little bit more in front of his chest, and he has a little bit more space between his hands and his legs, and you were kind of jammed in there. Also, it was clear that the shaft was too long, the club is too long for your setup, and I had you choke up on the club a couple of inches. And so those two things, setting your arms more extended on top of your chest and choking down the club, was one of the changes I made that you achieved some pretty good ball striking all during the day after that change. So you're going to want to continue to do that. Now here's your setup after we made the changes. Big difference, much more dynamic setup. You're choking down a few inches, which puts the club shaft and the sole of the head of the club on the ground at the proper angles. You've given yourself a little bit more room under your between your hands and your legs to swing properly. Your arms are more on top of your chest. So you want to continue that. You can see how much better that looks, but more importantly, you're going to perform better with that setup. Now we're going to look at your backswing, and this is something we did not adjust during the school. It was one of those things that I did not want to do any adjustments of things that would not give you immediate improvement until you kind of developed a more of an ownership of the change. I was very comfortable changing your arm position, changing your grip, having you choke down. I was pretty confident that if you made those changes that morning, that you would play better in the afternoon. There are other changes in a golf swing that players need to make where they wouldn't have the immediate success frequently enough to play well. They would make the change and hit some shots better, but they would still miss too many shots because they would be distracted by the change. And so most of the changes I made with you were pre-swing changes. I didn't have you think about new thoughts about how to move the club while you played on the round. But this analysis is going to focus on some things that you need to change in the way you move your club and move your body during the swing. And when you make these changes, you'll see even greater improvement. And the changes that I'm advocating are backswing changes, how you move your body when you take your club back. And once you make these changes, your ball striking will take on a whole new dynamic. You'll hit some really, really good shots. So let's look at these differences. I've drawn the red box from the center of your ankles to the top of your head. And let's take Grant back first. I'm going to take him all the way to the top of his swing. And when he's at the top of his swing, he has a nice extension in his left arm. He has a right angle with the shaft and left arm, so he's loaded his wrist. And he has loaded up his left leg. He is ready to press the ground and drive into the golf ball. He's already placed his low point of his swing in front of the ball. And so let's take you back. And you can see you basically do the opposite. And you had mentioned in one of your emails to me when you saw your swing that you recognized how much movement you had
during your backswing, and you knew that that had to be more stable. You just did not have any stability in your golf swing. Now, the position you get into at the top of the backswing is caused by the way you make the initial takeaway in the first 12 inches of movement. This part right there is what needs to be changed. Once we change that piece right there, then you can have a better position at the top of the backswing. If you watch Grant, he's basically just turning, and if you look at that left knee, he's keeping his foot flat on the ground. He's simply rotating around a stable axis, and that axis is located off of his left side. So this is the axis of his golf swing. So he's rotating around that left side here. So his golf circle is stable. It's a pure rotation around the left side. Now you rotate around, you have a golf circle also, but your axis is moving during the swing, and so it's not stable. So you move your axis. Instead of swinging around a stable axis, it's moving, and we need to stabilize it. And there are some drills that I will show you so that you can quickly get this feeling. It's not something you have to wait 3 months for. You will execute better shots. You'll hit the ball more consistently solid. You'll be taking your divots in front of the ball. So that's the one piece that I need to work on with your full swing. It would be true with both your iron and your driver, is how to swing the club around your body without the golf circle moving. And there's a particular way that you need to do that. And there are some specific drills designed to teach you how to feel that. It's not my job to tell you about a fundamental. It's my job to help you experience the fundamental. And that's what these drills will do. So you have a good solid foundation of fundamentals. There are several that we need to add. We need to add them in the right sequence. And each time we add one, your quality of your shot will improve. As we add another one, your quality of your shot improves even more. So those are the goals. So you want to continue what you've already done, and that is choking down. Get the arms on top of your chest. Make sure you have the new grip with a little stronger position. Then now the only other piece that we need to work on next will be this takeaway. We need to make sure we have a correct takeaway of the club so that we don't sway to the right.